Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, welcome in to Daily Wolves, and it is of course the crossover episode because it is not just me from Chris from Daily Wolves today. I've also got with me Craig from the Daily Arsenal pod. Hey Craig, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm living the dream. It's not a very good dream, to be honest, down the bottom of the table, but it's a dream of some kind. So we're a bit more of a nightmare, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, welcome in. So we're going to be doing a crossover episode. So we'll get some thoughts from both sides of the dugout ahead of this weekend's game and see where we're at. Now, you guys are obviously over at Arsenal doing a little bit better than us this season. You're second place at the moment. 6 points off the top? So how is it going? Well, how is it for you and the rest of the Arsenal fans at the moment? How's the vibe for you so far this season?
Up and down season, I'll say frustrating at times, good in times, frustrating in times. It's been like an up and down season, like because obviously Man City have struggled in the league, and we haven't really, and Liverpool doing so well, and other teams like Nottingham Forest who were the relegation candidates last season are doing well this season. So every game we have to win all our games to hopefully, if Liverpool slip up. So it's one of them seasons where we've had an awful lot of injuries as well. So it's been very up and down, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you're aware, you're still doing great things compared to us. You'd expect to be after your last couple of seasons pushing for the top. It's ironic, like you say, that the year Man City are stalling, Liverpool go and continue without Jurgen Klopp and just keep doing more of the same. We're obviously stranded down in 17th at the moment. We're only out of the bottom three on goal difference, thanks to Man City whipping Ipswich. That pushed them back down. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster for us as well. Obviously, we played each other first day of the season. We were like opening games, so we've come full circle. We're over halfway. What did you make of the first time we met? Obviously, that's going way back, but what did you make of Wolves on first time round?
I've always liked Wolves as a team. I think Wolves have always been a good team, like in the Premier League over the years. They always had great players. They played for them. You had Neves, you had Pedro Neto, you had Adama Traore played for you guys as well. You had some decent players in your team. I think what's happened over the years, I think that every season you sold your best player, and it's very difficult to maintain if you're selling your best player every summer and not replacing them with the same quality of player. And it eventually will come up. Eventually, it will catch up to you, and I think it'll happen this season. Catch up to you guys. I think it's happened now, and it's like you guys are just struggling in the league. Well, I think you have some. Right now, your squad is you still got some good players in your squad. You got like you got Lamina. You've got Cunha who's been linked to Arsenal coincidentally. So you got some decent players in your team. So I don't know why you're not so at the bottom of the table, but hopefully you guys can get out of the table and push up the table now with the new manager in charge now, I would say.
Yeah, we had the little bit of a new manager bounce when Vitor Pereira came in a few games ago because we got 2 wins and a draw off the back of that, and then we've gone into a tough run. You guys are next, but I mean we lost to Forest 3-0, we lost to Newcastle, we lost most recently to Chelsea. So 3 losses on the bounce going into this game. So the new manager bounce is officially over. I think, like you said, there's a lot of discussion in the Wolves fan base at the moment about the fact that regardless of the manager, a lot of it is self-inflicted pain from board level in terms of, like you say, selling off certain assets and not replacing them, or replacing them with younger players that aren't necessarily ready to take that spot, in the first team. And so, yeah, despite the fact there is some talent in the squad, the biggest concern for us is the way we're shipping goals. You've probably seen we're actually decent scorers. Like if you look at the chances created and the goals, we're one of the top scorers in the league still, amazingly, even though we haven't actually scored for a couple of games. But it's just defensively we are woeful, and we've conceded something like from 19 set pieces or something. So it's the only thing keeping us going is the fact that we are creating chances. Because, like you say, Cunha, there's a lot of speculation around him at the moment. There's a lot of unrest in the Wolves dugout right now. Lamina is actually, that you mentioned, it looks like he's on the way out. He was pulled out of the squad recently because he said that he wasn't fit to play and he wanted to leave after the fallout with the previous manager, ironically, but it's rolled on to this manager. and then and stripped of the captaincy, and just basically looks like he's just waiting to leave. And now the speculation around Cunha just adding to a lot of unrest this transfer window. Almost can't wait for the transfer window to end just to
Definitely.
settle everything back down. Because
Yeah.
where we're at, if something, there's lots of speculation. I've seen loads of rumors today, literally as we record this, about Nottingham Forest looking to make a record bid for Cunha, but they can't. We just can't. If he goes, then it's like it'll be. I mean, the
Yeah.
relegation fight will just be pretty much done. Yeah. But looking ahead to this weekend, though, in terms of, you mentioned some of the previous players that we've got, but in terms of the current squad, what are you concerned about? Is Cunha the one you're most concerned about generally, or is there any other things that you think are going to slip you up? Do you think it's an easy ticket? Do you think? I mean, you've won 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 5, I think, or something.
But the striker you got, the one on loan, Larson.
Yeah.
He looks a decent player as well. He looks a very good striker to you guys as well. Obviously Cunha is the number one that you would think you want to prove a point against us if he's still there, if he's in the right mind space to play. You got some decent players in your team. As I said, you got that young his name Totti. I like him. I think he's quite good as well.
Totti's still out injured at the moment. He's recovering, so he won't be playing this weekend. But he's a decent. We need him because defensively we are struggling.
You have got some good players. You got journeymen like that Doherty. No, what's his name again?
Yeah, Doherty. Yeah.
Doherty. Yeah, he's a good player as well for you guys. Obviously the goalkeeper is the one I worry about the most for you guys. I feel like this season he's not as solid as it was a couple of seasons ago when it was very good for you guys. I think he's conceded a lot of goals this season, and I don't think you know who's your best number one. He's been chopping and changing between Sam Johnston and the goalkeeper Jose Sarr. So it's a bit like who's the one's going to keep us a clean sheet, or who's the one's going to concede more goals. So it's going to be an interesting game. It's not going to be an easy game for us to. It's not going to be an easy game for us to walk over and win. You would think we'll go there and beat you guys, but it's not going to be like that. Premier League is not like that, especially after a European game during the week. It's going to be a hard game. You guys are going to like set up very defensive, hit us on the counter attack, maybe from set pieces or something like that. So we have to be on our A game to try and win the game on Saturday, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, the European game you mentioned that's happening right now as we record this is probably the only silver lining for us going into this weekend. Potentially, maybe you'll have to rotate a bit more, or rest some people, because to be honest, you're playing us at a time. You're probably playing us at the best time to play us with the last 3 defeats, and the performance against Chelsea on Monday night was just. That was the worst game under the new manager. It looked like things were just starting to slide back to how they were before the new manager came in.
Definitely.
So I think as much as I want Molineux to be a fortress, and as much as we want to get some points from this tough run, because we've got the likes of Villa and Liverpool next, I just think, I think this is just going to be potentially, as much as I don't want to say it, it could be an easy 3 points for you guys playing us at the right time. Have you got any injury concerns of your own coming into this weekend? Because I'm not up to speed on the Arsenal injuries.
I know Saka's out for a while, not until March. I think the end of the season for him. I think it's a serious injury. It's the hamstring injury. We're still waiting for Tommy. Tommy is back in training apparently. Same with Ben White back in training. Calafiori's back in training now as well. Ranieri, he's back in training. I think he's on the bench tonight. So we've got our injured players are coming back slowly but surely. So hopefully that will help the team to so the manager can have a selection headache to pick the squad. So hopefully
good. From our perspective, as I mentioned, Totti's still out. Cunha hopefully will by then be fully recovered from his virus, because he's been suffering with a cold, which I'm going to hope is part of the reason he didn't play well on Monday, because he looked really off his game. I'm hoping it was that and not so much the transfer speculation, because you just don't know. Before we dig a bit deeper into the match itself, let's just take a moment to remind everyone that here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we did spend a lot of time Selecting our delivery platform, Zencaster came out the clear winner with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencaster. Did you see that, Craig? It's like I'm a professional or something. It's crazy. So you have you been to the Molineux, by the way? Have you been to? Do you get to
I've
go to
never
any away
been
games?
there. I've never been to the one. I'd love to go. It'd be a good opportunity to go check it out. The away game. That'd be a nice away game to go to.
Yeah, it's that the stand that we put the away fans in for most Premier League games is the oldest stand, the Steve Ball stand. It was finished in 1979, so it needs a bit of work. So it's quite funny because everyone. But then you don't want to welcome the away fans too much. We don't want it comfy. But yeah, so I have to say I'm really scared going into this weekend. The manager after the last game was actually saying, I don't want to say slagged off, but basically came out and said that he wants to see Cunha do better and be more, what's the word, more like a captain on the pitch and not kind of behaving the way he was in terms of looking frustrated and, like shrugging and looking like he didn't want to be there. So again, with him and Lamina wanting out at the moment, it is going to be an interesting weekend. And what I will say is, if you guys score early, particularly, and then it starts to go one way, Molineux's great when it's rocking, but with everything that's going on at the moment, there's the potential that it could get quite easily toxic from a home perspective. Because there is a lot of unrest. So yeah, and I think we're only not in the bottom three because there's three teams that are promoted looking like they could go. Well, obviously everyone's coming up and going straight back down at the moment.
Do you feel that there's worse teams in the league than Wolves though that could go down?
I mean, I think Southampton and Leicester, obviously, I think they're pretty much a done deal. I'm a little bit scared of Ipswich at the moment, purely not because I think technically they're a better squad. As you mentioned, we've got on paper some good players. I mean, we've got two of Brazil's midfield in Andre and Gomez, but they're just being asked to do so much to defend that back three. Our centre backs are lacking. We've got a new centre back come in, Agbadu, but he's only had 2 Premier League games now, and he's alongside Doc is a right wing back, but he's playing at centre back at the moment because Totti's out, and it's just everything's a bit frazzled. So, and we've only gone out and bought one player so far this transfer window when we desperately need them. The fan base has been saying we know we've needed certain players for a long time, but now we're sat here not seeing it, and now Ipswich are going out and signing great players on loan or bringing players in and spending money, and we're not doing it. So if Ipswich are up for the fight, which I think they are, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, does it? At the end of the day, how much quality you've got on paper. If someone else is up for the fight and they're more physical and they're gonna really get stuck in, then I'm slightly scared that they could take us the distance. But I'm upset because I kind of want Everton. I always want Everton to be. I feel like Everton should be down there by now.
Yeah, they won last week, didn't they, against Tottenham?
Yeah, I think bringing in David Moyes probably is going to just make them a little solid and safe. He's going to shore up shop pretty much.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling for the title race at the moment? Do you think you're going to do it? Do you think you're going to come good over Liverpool, or do you think it's average?
We need signings. Our squad is very thin. It's a very thin. We've got 22-man squad. Our squad is the smallest squad one of the smallest squads in the league. So, one player's injured, it's the bench at the moment. It's currently got a lot of kids on the bench at the moment. So, I would say we need to strengthen in January before the window closes. We've only got a couple of days left of the window left. So, it'd be good if we can get 1 or 2 players in just to cover the gaps at the moment, or stop gap until the end of the season till next season. So I would love to see someone come in. Hopefully, I don't know. See what happens. So yeah.
And what do you think about? Because you mentioned everyone's saying that Arsenal have occasionally looked at Cunha. Would you, as an Arsenal fan, would you want him at the moment in your squad? Do you think he gets in the first team, for example?
I think he gets into the first team, 100%. He's a good player, and I feel like his goal output will much more better at Arsenal because he's playing for a bigger team. No disrespect to Wolves, obviously, but playing for a bigger club, and then he will get the more we create more chances as well, so he'll get onto more chances to score. Um, he could definitely get in that starting 11, 100%. I agree he'll get into the starting 11.
And how
Over
much?
who?
So
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. So I'm curious though, because obviously there's lots of talk about how much it would take to prize him away from Wolves at the
Mm,
moment, especially given that we're in a relegation battle because, is a difference maker. Bearing in mind, we bought him for, I think, at the time around 45 million,
mm,
which looked overpriced at the time, but he's done a lot for us. How much
yeah.
how much do you think, or how much would you be happy for the club to go out if Arsenal went out this window and said we're going to get Cunha? How much would you be happy for them to
60,
spend?
60, 65 million, I would say. I'll say about that. I think that's fair enough for him. I think that's a fair enough for him. I know he's a Brazilian international now as well, but I think Wolves might want 78 million for him. So you know how the transfer window is, the price for players have inflated now. So I would say 65, 70 million is worth the money you get for him, and you can get two or three adequate replacements for him as well. So that would be a good deal, I think. I don't know what other fans will think, but I think that would be a good deal for him.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear. I mean, Wolves fans, and I think the club valuation of him is higher. Like in that, at least, well, you got close to like 70 odd million. I think 70 to 80 million. Given that they'd want to make the profit on the fact they spent like 45 on him. But then again, the way the club have been acting at the moment, I wouldn't put it past them taking that deal that you
Mm,
mentioned. The thing is,
yeah.
you said yourself about then putting that money onto a couple more players. That's the thing. That's the thing that's frustrating the Wolves fan base at the moment is that the money comes in for those. We sold Neto in the summer to Chelsea, sold Kilman to West Ham. We took in over like £100 million worth of money almost between practically two players, and yet hardly any of it is being reinvested back into
Mm,
the first team. So it's a scary thought. It's a scary thought for someone like whether it's yourself or Forrester who are pushing now at the table to come
mm.
in with a bid like that, because the Wolves fans are just scared at the prospect of that money not going anywhere near the team.
Mm. So can I ask you a question there? So, where's the are you your club not in debt, are they, by the owners? 'Cause when they first came to the Premier League, they were investing a lot of money in the Championship. And when they first came to the Championship, they were buying players like Neto, Neves, sorry, from Porto. They played in the Championship for a little bit. Then they brought in all these big name players. Like you got Raul Jimenez is at Fulham now.
Hmm.
All these big name international players were coming to Wolves. Like, and I thought, yeah, this team could. And I think you guys did well in the Premier League with under Nuno Espirito Santo. You got
Yeah, we got into the
you,
Europa League. We got two seventh place finishes in a row, and then
mm,
Nuno, and then it was the COVID season that kind of ruined Nuno's reign for us because it all just went a bit pear shaped under COVID.
yeah, and then you got sacked, and then you guys brought. But I did like Gary O'Neill for you guys. I thought Gary O'Neill did a great job for you guys as well. I thought he was a good manager for you. I think what happened this season, obviously, he sold your best players. Maybe people will say he lost the dressing room in the end, but I thought he was doing a good job like last season for keeping you guys up in the Premier League, and he beat some big teams as well last season as well. I think he beat Man City. I think he beat Chelsea as well. So he did beat a couple of the big boys last season. But I think he might have, as I said, he might have lost the dressing room this season. And there's a lot of in-house fighting as well. A lot of games you all come off the pitch fighting stewards and all that kind of stuff after the game. So I can see where the frustration was coming from. But it's a shame, really, because he done so well in the Premier League, and now you guys in a relegation battle is a bit like, you know, it's just,
Yeah, you asked
yeah.
about the money. So the club is not in debt currently because they've been making a stringent effort to not not overspend the last few seasons, and they kept using that as an excuse for a while. They want the club to be self sufficient. They keep talking about that how the likes of Brighton and clubs like that kind of more self sufficient because they bring in players and then increase their value over time, then sell them on and bring on the next one, that kind of thing. But
Mm,
there's a way to do that effectively and a way to do that ineffectively, and at the moment it feels like it's not effective because there's, like we mentioned, they're selling them off for great money, but then they're going for such young or inexperienced players that they're not able to then they're not able to then replicate it. So it's just kind of not working, and you can see the results of it now in where we're at. And so there's a lot of discussion about that money is just going to just line their pockets is a lot of the thing, because it's a financial firm that just wants to make their money back on all the marketing. So it is a shame, but at some point they're going to realize that potentially that you have to invest in this league or you're not going to stay in it. Because if you stand still, then you're going down. So, but yeah, we have a couple of good ones. Strand Larsen that you mentioned is pretty solid. It's his first season. He scored 7 goals already, a couple of assists. He was on loan with a clause to buy, and that has been activated because he's appeared more times now. So that he will be bought in the summer. But which league he'll end up in, I do not know. Cunha was offered a contract extension. That's been stalled because apparently he's asking for a relegation release clause in the new extension. But we shall see. All right. Before we get into like what we think of the game coming up exactly in a bit more detail, just remind everyone that this podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network, every club, every day.
Yeah.
All right. So this weekend then, what do you think is going to be we can go through its exact score lines in a minute, but are you just thinking it's going to be a straight up win? And are you expecting any changes in your lineup, as you mentioned, because you got the midweek game? Are you expecting any drastic changes, or?
I think he'll rotate the squad again for that game. I think he'll rotate the squad depending on how the game goes tonight and how the players can recovery from tomorrow to Friday to Saturday's game. He'll kind of see how the players are and whatever, and then make a decision on Friday for the game on Saturday. So yeah.
And do you think it's going to be a walk in the park, straight 3 points?
I don't think. I thought last week's game should have been a walk in the park against Aston Villa. It wasn't like that. They came back and drew 2-2 with us. So as much as Wolves are struggling, I don't underestimate no team in the Premier League. I don't care if you're bottom or top. Anyone can beat anyone on the day. So you have to be up for the game 100%. Yes, we're going into the game as favourites, but if we don't show up in the game, you guys could capitalise on that. So we have to make sure we have our A game, win the game nice and early, swap some of it, make some changes at half time or second half to keep the players fresh. So that's what I can say, really.
I'm usually Mr. Optimistic on our pod. For anyone that isn't like here's this on your side of the feed, in the Wolves team, I'm usually a Mr. Optimism. But right now, after the last few performances and everything going on, as you've probably told from some of the stuff we've discussed so far, I'm not there. As much as I'm normally the guy saying, yeah, we'll get at least a draw or we'll get 3 points or, sneak a 2-1 win or whatever it is, to be honest, we're letting in goals like no one's business right now. We've let in 3 goals apiece the last 3 matches, like some 3-0, 3-1, 3-0 or whatever it was. So I hate to say it, but I think it could even be something horrid like a 4-1 Arsenal win. That genuinely, I don't like to say that as a home fan, but that's kind of how it feels this week with everything going on around the team. So yeah, you heard it here, Arsenal fans. That's what I think. Would you be? I mean, obviously you'd be happy with that, but you said you don't think it's going to be an easy game, and I hope it won't be an easy game. I hope I'm really wrong, but obviously, do you have a scoreline in mind?
I think 3-1 Arsenal away win. I think you guys will score against us, so I think 3-1 win Arsenal.
Yeah, we can usually say that we haven't in the last couple, but we usually can score a goal and make chances. But I say we just can't keep clean sheets. So I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be one of those days. I'm afraid. And from a Wolves perspective, it's going to be a tough run in this next few games. It's going to be really harsh. And then after who have you guys got after this game?
I think we've got Man City coming off as well. I think we've got Man City coming off soon. Let me double check. Hold on. I know we've got to play Newcastle again as well.
Yeah, you got Man City. So you've got Champions League again, and then you've got Man City at home on the 2nd of Feb.
Yeah, so that's the second. That's the yeah.
That's going to be a huge game for you guys.
Mm, definitely, 100% agree. So we've got you guys on Saturday. Then we've got Man City at home, Leicester away, West Ham at home, Nottingham Forest away, Man United away, Chelsea at home, Fulham at home, Everton away, Brentford at home, Ipswich away, Crystal Palace at home. So we've got some hard fixtures coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier for us. We've got you guys, then we've got Villa next, and then after the FA Cup game with Blackburn, we've got Liverpool. So yeah, it's going to be a rough ride. But whatever whatever your performance is, anyone out there, or if whether your team's doing well or bad, just remember that the motto of our city over here in Wolverhampton is something I always sign off with at the end of a show, because I think it's nice. I think it reminds people that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So I will, before I drop that, I'll say, Craig, it's been awesome chatting with you today.
Thank you.
I'd normally wish you luck for the weekend, but you don't need it. So I'm just going to try and keep all the luck for us. Okay, I need it. We need it. It's
Definitely.
not bad. But yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in, and just remember, no matter what's going on out there, out of darkness cometh light.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.